now, please welcome to the ice, your Carolina Chefs. Social House Vodka, the handcrafted and gluten-free vodka from North Carolina, has partnered with the Carolina Hurricanes to present the inaugural All-Star Celebrity Chef Series. Throughout the 2018-2019 hockey season, culinary enthusiasts will be able to enjoy 6 special dinners prepared by some of North Carolina's best chefs. Tickets to the event will include a 4-course dinner, cocktail provided by one of the state's best mixologists, and seats for that evening Carolina Hurricanes game. The exciting lineup of chefs includes culinary talent from Wilmington to Asheville and everywhere in between. The chefs participating are scheduled to begin on November 10th with Dean Neff of Pinpoint Restaurant in Wilmington.
Fun things happen when you collaborate on menus like this.
And Chris Coleman of Stoke Charlotte.
Yeah, cooking with vodka in dishes is something maybe new. Cooking with vodka in glasses nearby, that happens quite frequently.
Right now we're seeing these really beautiful stone crab claws, and so I'm definitely going to be bringing things from the coast over there. That's what most people want me to bring when I head inland.
We have a Korean-style fried chicken, so it's double dredged in a tempura batter and fried, and that tempura batter leans heavily on vodka. Because the higher the alcohol, it makes, bubbles kind of pop up rapidly in the batter in the fryer. So you get this really light, crispy, delicious crust on this fried chicken. So I could see us doing something like that, maybe with vodka.
The Celebrity Chef Series promises to bring an international flavor down home to North Carolina. Tickets for the Carolina Hurricanes All-Star Celebrity Chef Series and hockey games are $125. For details, check our show notes. And to get up-to-date schedules, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. You're listening to the North Carolina Food and Beverage Podcast, coming to you from the Kitchen Studios, located high atop the historic Raleigh building, located in the heart of downtown Raleigh. The NCF&B podcast takes you behind the scenes of North Carolina's food and beverage industry. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at NCFBpod. This episode is sponsored in part by Food Scene. That's foodseen.com. Providing professional photography, social media management, video production, and website design. That's Food Scene. And now, the sommeliers to the stars, the barbacks in your backyard. It is Max and Matt.
Hello, and thank you for listening to the North Carolina Food and Beverage Podcast. I am your co-host, Max Trujillo.
And I am your co-host, Matthew Weiss. And we are coming to you recording from the beautiful Fearrington Village here. And we have an extremely special guest. Everybody sit tight because this intro is going to take a while. But first, let me start it off with a hooty-hoo.
Hooty-hoo.
So maybe you all know who that is. The fabulous Ms. Carla Hall of Top Chef fame on Season 5 and 8, The Fan's Choice on Season 8. Of course, of The Chew. And then what you're about to see is her new cookbook. It's called Soul Food, Every Day and Celebration.
That's me. Yeah. Hi, guys.
Welcome.
I'm sure we could go on. There's a lot more.
She was also the host of the James Beard Awards of 2018.
Yes.
Talked about that. We'll get into a few different things, but more importantly, I don't know if anyone else is more excited about food and what food means to the community than you. So it's exciting to have you on our show because we talk to people that are so enthusiastic about this, typically in a North Carolina sense. Mm-hmm. But we're in North Carolina, and we're at the Fearrington Village in Pittsboro, as Matt mentioned earlier, because TerraVita is upon us, and you're here for participation.
Yes.
Who called you? How'd you get down here?
Well, I'm a member of Les Dames d'Escoffier.
No, so is my wife.
Right. And so Colleen, who puts this whole shebang together, called me. But because my assistant, Kirsten, lives in Raleigh, she was like, you have to do this show.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to do the whole festival. And
of course, the NCF&B.
Oh, my God.
She's a huge fan, right?
Come on. Of course.
We did pay Carla $7,000 to be here today. So.
Okay, where's that check? So here I am, and it's funny. I meet so many people all over the country, and I love how food brings people together, and you're telling those stories through food and culture.
Yeah.
And I think you get to know people through food.
Yeah.
No doubt at all. But you yourself, not necessarily a North Carolinian, but you weren't too far off coming from Nashville. Is that
Nashville,
right?
Tennessee.
Yeah. We lay claim to Nashville at times. They're,
Southeast.
like kissing cousins. Yeah, we're in the South.
Yes, kissing cousins.
Nashville and Tennessee and North Carolina share a border. So, yeah.
I know. I mean, Tennessee shares a border with 7 other states. So,
I'm not going to ask you to name them all right now.
Oh, God, please don't ask me to name them. I mean, there's Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama, Kentucky. I mean, so you go all the way around.
North Carolina, South Carolina.
Exactly.
No, does South Carolina touch? I don't think it does.
No, South Carolina doesn't touch. No. North Carolina. And then as you go, Arkansas.
Yes, this is riveting for everyone to hear this part.
I am going to ask you one trivia question about your life, though. It's a little tricky, but you will know the answer, okay? And this is even before your food career.
Okay.
My wife and you share a similar bullet point on your resume for jobs.
Oh, no, it is not the bean counter.
It is the bean counter.
Accounting.
Yeah. You worked for PwC.
Yes. But when it was PW at the time, because I'm older than probably your wife.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, who knows?
Okay.
You look like a very young woman, so who knows?
Brand new. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, if somebody would expect that, we've talked about it on the show before because a former guest who you would never expect, the Mofu Shop, they also had worked for PwC.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, nobody would ever color you as a CPA or as an accountant.
I think the people who know that I like puzzles and I like process and I love spreadsheets would probably say, okay, we get it.
Yeah.
I love numbers. I don't like working in it, but I love doing it, not on demand.
Right. Oh, okay. I would definitely not color because I see you as a right brain thinker, really creative, soulful. Obviously, the name of your cookbook is Soul Food. So it's such a dichotomy of careers.
Well, here's another thing that people don't know about me. When you think about Myers-Briggs, I am borderline introvert extrovert.
Really?
Yep, I am.
You know what though? That is not too weird for people that are on camera or like. On camera, on mic, you could be the biggest extrovert in your life.
Right.
And then you get off and you're just like, I don't want to, I'm just going to be here in my little space, leave me alone. Mm-hmm. Would that kind of represent you a little bit
That's
better?
it. And then I have to recharge and then I'm happy to go out again. But when I have to recharge, I'm inside. And so when I'm out, I know that people are going to come up to me. They want to take pictures. And I'm like, if I'm out, you're absolutely welcome to come up to me. But then when I know when that's happening and I have to go inside and recharge and I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm going inside.
Was it comedians in cars getting coffee with Seinfeld? He interviewed Dave Chappelle, and Chappelle, who is an outgoing big personality, is super quiet. And he said that. He goes, actually, the real Dave Chappelle is the Chappelle on mic, on stage, and I just fake life off of it. He's like, I'm not really myself when I'm not on stage. It's kind of the opposite.
Yeah,
thing.
I get that. So which Carla Hall are you when you're like really in the kitchen and really getting down to the nitty gritty cooking?
I am more of the PwC Carla Hall.
Okay.
And people will ask me, you love to dance, so what kind of music do you like to listen to in the kitchen? And actually, I don't like to listen to music.
I heard that.
I like to listen to...
calculators being adding machines going?
Yeah, I like the sound of food. I like my senses to be engaged. I like to hear, to smell, to taste. And so I'm all about, if I am breaking into a head of lettuce, I want to hear that... If I'm making a salad dressing in the blender, it's like, you're pouring in the oil.
That's your music. Yeah.
Yes.
That's pretty cool. It is nice to hear that right sizzling. And what was it when Miss Lily, the friends of Vivian Howard, when she was cooking, when she was baking biscuits, we asked, how long do you take to bake these? How many minutes? And she just looked at me with this wry grin and just said, your nose will tell you. And I went, what? She's like, there is a moment where the aroma comes out and it's just boom, and you're like, biscuits are done.
Yes.
And so it's like you didn't need all this. You let the other senses kind of let you activate what you're trying to do in the kitchen.
Exactly. And I think I taught a cooking class to people who had sight disabilities, and I needed to tell them how to cook without reading a recipe. And it's all about feel. And I think this day and age, when we don't cook as much, we rely so heavily on those written words that we're not engaged in the cooking process at all. And you will say to people, how long does it cook until it's done? Well, when do I know that? Well, you smell, you look, you taste, you're getting all of your other senses involved.
Yeah.
And when you take one sense away, it actually heightens the others. So nuts.
Totally.
3 stages of cooking nuts. Not done, burnt. Right?
Yeah, sure.
Right?
Yeah,
Especially if you don't have more nuts. If you put all of your nuts in the oven for a recipe, they're gonna get burned.
Well, so how does that fit into a cookbook? Because a cookbook has to be somewhat exact, right?
Yes. Well, interestingly enough, when I did this cookbook and I went through the tour of the South, when I was sort of getting back into my roots and I needed to connect back in with the South for this cookbook, I was with Genevieve Ko, who's my co-author, who's Chinese, and my photographer is Italian, Gabriele Stabile. So we went through the South, and when we got to Nashville, it was just supposed to be a stopping point to sort of cook and the recipes that I had been inspired by throughout the trip.
Mm-hmm.
And the kitchen where we were cooking was so amazing that we were like, oh my gosh, we should absolutely cook here, and we should do pictures for the book here. And Gabriele, can you stay in town? So I was going to the farmer's market, cooking, taking a picture, and I had to work backwards to the recipe.
Oh, okay.
Versus normally what I do, I'm cooking and I have little portion cups of salt and all the seasonings that I want to use, and I'll have onions in half cup measure and all those ingredients. So I can just throw in, and I'm in the moment of cooking, and I go back and I count the things that I use.
Yeah.
So
what did I do again?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But then now I'm like, oh shoot, you have to keep track of this, Genevieve. But so what I'm doing is I'm still in that creative process, but it's not stagnated by somebody saying, oh my God, I have to tell you what I'm using. Okay, I have a half,
Yeah.
So you're still free to create.
That reminds me, we had this, there's this company that started out of Greenville, Greenville in North Carolina, and they make waffles. These kind of whole deal Belgian waffles are really cool, but the guy who was making them,
Smash waffles, so delicious.
Yeah, he said, I don't know what I do. I just know how to make them. And he literally had the other guy follow him around and write the recipe and say, okay, that's 2 cups of sugar. Okay, that's a half cup of flour, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Because it was all about being creative.
But that's how I like to work in the kitchen. And I think that's what America first fell in love with when they watched you on Top Chef. That's super cheesy, but my wife and I, we watch the show all the time. It's fun and it's exciting. But you on the show were such a different presence, where you let that part of your personality really come out there. I feel like there were a lot of like very, technically trained chefs that had all this French culinary background, but then they had no soul to their food. It didn't have to be soul food. It just had to feel like they cared about it. And that's really what just kept pushing you to the next week, so much so that it pushed you to do why the rest of America knows who you are, because I think everyone just relates. They're like, oh yeah, she just loves cooking. She's just passionate about it, and in the end, you're just like, let's just taste this food.
I know, and the thing is, when I was on Top Chef, I didn't know about the show. I went on as a personal challenge. I was 44. I don't think I was 44, and I was a caterer. So those are two reasons why I probably wasn't supposed to make it near the end. And I was kind of like the spook who sat by the door. What? Y'all know that movie? Okay, the book?
No.
I think we can get the point.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my God, and I happen to be black. Okay, well.
I was like, I'm not going to touch that. We're in the South. This is not.
But this is where, we have to bring it forward and just talk about it. Anyway. But I think the thing was, when I was cooking on Top Chef, I was so nervous that I started making things that I wanted to eat. And it really was about delicious food and thinking about cooking food that my grandmother would make for me at Sunday suppers. And so also the thing that always goes on in my head, my grandmother would say, it is your job to be happy, not to be rich. I don't make goals. I didn't have a goal to be on television. I just did it. And my thing is, oh my gosh, how can I find happiness in this moment, even though I'm stressed? So that's always been my motto.
Well, that was actually kind of part of the storyline throughout the season. I believe there was a time where you were trying to do something technical, essentially not your jam.
Yes.
And you didn't do well. And
correct.
You were just like, oh. And then, of course, the movie magic and all the personal little shots of you going through this inner turmoil came through, and you finally just said, you know what, I got to cook the way I want to cook.
Yeah.
And your very next dish, I think you won that week.
I think I did.
I mean, you write the story to it's like, okay, all right, Rudy catches the ball and he gets the touchdown at the end. But that's effectively how it worked. And
I
it was
love
really
that
cool.
analogy.
Yeah.
Rudy.
But it's great, although Rudy never caught a touchdown. He
made a sack.
He made a sack. No, I thought he just made a tackle in a.
Oh, that might be it.
On special teams. It's like, good job. But with me in studio right now is a brand new sponsor of the podcast, Miss Laura Harris, your preferred restaurant industry agent.
Hello.
Laura, you're a realtor. You are an industry agent finding people homes, but the food and beverage industry is where you came up.
So I was in the food and beverage industry for 17 years and recently made the transition to real estate. So with my understanding of the industry and all of its challenges, I've taken a lot of my skill set and transferred that just kind of into a new realm of work. So I'm really excited about it, and I'm excited to work with restaurant industry professionals, and I'm really excited to jump in and get working for everyone.
So if you want to reach Laura and you're looking for a home, you can go to ncfbhomes.com. You get that? It's like North Carolina Food and Beverage Homes. So it's a special website so that you can find out all of her information. You can also reach her on Instagram at Lolo the Realtor. That's right, Lolo the Realtor. And she can help find you a home. Being that she's in the industry and she gets it, she understands your heavy work schedule. She even offers a commission rebate for all food and beverage industry people available at closing. It's $1,000. It's free beer money to stock your kitchen. And then, of course, you have to invite me and Matt, and we'll come over and we'll party. Whether or not you're in the food and beverage industry, you're looking for a new home, you got to reach out to Laura Harris. She is your preferred restaurant industry agent. She's always there to save you time, money, and hassle. You can reach her at 919-896-2697 or go to ncfbhomes.com. Powered by Fathom Realty. So this is your third book now.
Yes.
In the process of writing the first two, Carla's Comfort Food and Cooking with Love, this is soul food. So how does this differentiate from the first two? And like, were you at that point after your second one saying, I still have more to write? There's still stories I haven't told yet.
Yes, I still have stories to tell, but also I think with the first two books, and I'm very grateful for Simon & Schuster and the imprint Atria, but I didn't know about the industry. And I think that when you're supposed to write a cookbook, you have commissioned your creativity. Because they're like, okay, here's the advance, and now you have to deliver. Yeah. And it's something about delivering on demand that kind of gets in the way, for me, my creativity. And so there's a lot of soul food in the first book, Cooking with Love. There were recipes from my grandmother, recipes from when I catered, recipes from Top Chef, and sort of a kind of a journal, if you will, for that book. And then the second book was all about culturally, we all have something to say, but let's say if we take a dish like smothered chicken and we expand on that to different cultures, it's still smothered chicken, even though it has different spices in it. And I really wanted to show how we are more alike than we are different. And let's focus on those things, because people don't, when you talk about food, we don't say to the Chinese, why are you doing your rice like that? Can you do it a different way? Because we're here in the South. No, you're like, oh, that's how you do your rice. Great. Let me show you how I do my rice. And it's okay. And somebody else can show you how they do their rice. And we don't question that. And I think it's a great place to jump off and say, okay, let's celebrate our differences. Now, this book, very small advance, the first two books really didn't do as well. And I said, I know exactly what I want this book to be. And I had my DNA done, and I wanted to see if I take my ancestors and from Africa, and they came over to the United States today, how would they be eating? If they take those seeds that were in their pockets, what would they be doing with them? With okra and with sorghum and with millet and fonio, what would they be doing with them? And I had that as the background for this book.
In doing your DNA, did you find out something about yourself you didn't know, like what your background is made up of?
Yes. So it is the Yoruba people from Nigeria and the Bubi people from Bioko Island. And I went through African ancestry.
That's the central western part of Africa.
Exactly.
Right?
So with African ancestry, because they have the largest database of DNA from West Africa, they're able to drill down to the tribe.
Wow.
So in the Bubi people from Bioko Island, this island is tiny, tiny, tiny off the coast of Cameroon, and only 3 slave ships went from that island to Virginia, where my people went. So I could go to the African American Museum and look at all of those, the names of those, numbers of those slave ships, and find
which your ancestors.
Yes, which is freaking powerful.
Yeah.
And that is the power of history, and not saying, oh my gosh, we don't want to talk about slavery. But the reality is, My ancestors.
That's everyone's history if you're an American.
Exactly.
Right.
And so there's that part, and then there is Portuguese and Spanish. So I have a little bit of that influence in the book as well. So I wanted to say, what is my personal terroir? And I think the inspiration is for everybody. Look at your DNA, and what does that look like on a plate?
This really is like an amazing and perfect transition, considering that there is the Edna Lewis dinner that's happening, I believe, tomorrow night.
Yes.
You might meet my wife. I think she's shooting the event.
Oh, I met her yesterday.
You met her?
Yes.
Felicia.
Yeah. Hey, Felicia. Oh, that's right.
Bye,
She told me that.
You can say bye, Felicia. Yeah.
Oh, that's right, because she's not here today. Bye, Felicia. And she told me that I was going to see you today, and I forgot until this moment. Okay.
But this is like a really remarkable connection in so many ways. First off, we are in the beautiful Fearrington House, what we mentioned, Fearrington Village. And Miss Edna Lewis herself once cooked in this kitchen, and pretty remarkable too for a woman of color at a certain time, especially in the South, to be in a position of authority and then just throw it down. Now she, of course, was second generation, I believe, of free people, of free slaves, if you want to say that, from Freetown, Virginia. So not too far from where your ancestry was living, and through her life, the one thing, I just see such a remarkable connection, because there's a quote that she said when she was learning how to cook, that she, here in Farrington and when she was in New York and D.C. and all that, she kept a French cookbook open in one hand and her family recipes in the other. And I love that idea, and I really can't think of anyone in the current, the current scope of modern generation that exemplifies that more than yourself. And it's great that you're bringing that connection through your cookbook and through this great honor that we're bringing to Edna at TerraVita. That's just really beautiful.
No, I can't wait. I went to a French cooking school, and so at one point I was looking at how I was trained, and then I'm looking at my granny's recipes, and I went to say to my granny, "Oh, Granny, by the way, I can help you fix that whatever I'm telling her, fix your macaroni and cheese to do a proper sauce." Of course, I got hit with a wooden spoon, but it is something to that. And also, black chefs being trained. And Edna Lewis was one of the first cookbooks that I had of a black chef. And I was like, oh, wait, was this our food? Because I'm coming from the South, and I didn't really connect with the food that she was showing in her menus, and they were quite elegant. And I didn't think of soul food being anything but the very limited version of what I had been eating.
Sure.
And that is not the case. And that's what I want to do with this book, is show that all the vegetables and everything, that is also soul food.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because that was one of Edna Lewis's huge things, is vegetables and greens being part of the soul food, and that being part of Southern cooking. And I think that gets super lost in many restaurants you go to. And I always joke when I first came down to visit Max here, and they put vegetables on the plate, like, could we have extra vegetables? And it was like either fried vegetables or like in a deep sauce, or something like that. Right. And it's not just about this. Often it gets lost and not about the fresh greens. So
it does. It gets lost, and I think that even with my book, and I will have African Americans say, "Oh, soul food is unhealthy." I say, no, you need to learn how to appreciate this food and know that it's more than what has been given to you. And I understand that we have focused on the celebration foods because those are the foods that people love. It's like saying to the Italians, "Oh, do you eat lasagna every day?" No, they don't.
Right.
But the red sauce and the cheese and all of that, as Americans, we think, oh, that's what Italian food is. And then you're like, no, there are all of these other regional dishes.
Marketing has created a caricature of cuisine.
Yes.
Chinese food in in San Francisco is not Chinese food in Beijing.
Correct.
It's not, and Italian food and all that. And soul food is kind of getting that bad rap too. It's not KFC and Bojangles. There's so much more to it, and it doesn't have to be unhealthy. That's the thing. I mean, people couldn't eat fried chicken and just destroy their collards every single day with no nutrients because they cook the hell out of them and live. They couldn't do that.
But also, they weren't killing their chickens because they need it for the eggs. So you're not going to kill your chicken that's a hen that you need the eggs. You're going to wait for a special occasion and then kill the chicken.
But and that's and those type of traditions were popular in every culture. Being like a Hispanic culture, you would make a mole and it would take 3-4 days, a week or whatever. Somebody said they were doing one that was like, what was it?
Matthew Register.
Matthew Register.
Like 100-day mole.
100-day mole. Yeah. But it's like you take all this time, but then when you actually you make the mole, not just because, it's a Tuesday. No, you made it because there's a quinceañera happening, or there's a birthday, there's something going to happen. And at the end, I'm sorry, goat, but today's your last day, because that's part of the tradition, or chicken or whatever. But yeah, here in modern day, we do have the availability to have fried chicken every single day. And that's just
in excess
because we've lost our way, Matt. We've lost our way.
We lost our way with having access, but also being wealthier.
Right, true. What is it? Delayed satisfaction, some things like that, where you're just like, there's a movie coming out. I can't wait to see it in the theater. Oh, you could just download it for free and watch it on your laptop. No. I want to see it 2 days from now in the theater.
Right, 2 days from now with the popcorn and the M&Ms and the Dr. Pepper.
Yeah. No, I'll kill the chicken then.
I want to get back to the idea of literally connecting your ancestry to the plate, because I think that's fascinating. I mean, to think about, I could look down on a plate. So is that going to be part of the dinner tomorrow night?
Well, tomorrow I've chosen to do chicken and dumplings.
Okay.
Because I did a dinner where Etna Lewis's sister came, and that was the dish that I made. And we had a guinea hen. And the guinea hen was old, and we had this incredible smalt, so like this yellow fat that I used to make the dumplings. And the bird was just, it was actually tough, but so it had to cook a long time. But the flavor, so just in honor of that dinner and meeting Etna Lewis's sister, I wanted to do that again.
That's awesome.
Just as a point of reference, this podcast is probably going to come out in a few days, so I believe the dinner will have already happened. So I'm sorry to everyone that's listening, you didn't get to eat it. Or maybe you did. You were one of the few that were there, and you're now basking in the afterglow of all this amazing food.
Or maybe that recipe in the book?
No.
Buy a ticket. That's what.
Maybe Carla will give it to us, and then we can send it out to you for a special something.
Yes.
But this is not like a commercial. This is just because we love Colleen Minton and TerraVita and why she puts this all together. This is just to emphasize how awesome this dinner is. The Edna Lewis dinner will feature culinary talents of course, the aforementioned Carla Hall, Colin Bedford, the chef here at the Fearrington House restaurant, Joy Crump of Foodie and Mercantile, of which I've eaten recently in Fredericksburg, Virginia. So delicious. Sean Fowler, former guest of the show, of Mandolin. So good. And Sir Walter Royal of the Angus Barn, royalty out here. Tony Tipton Martin, the author of Jemima Code. And the guy who doesn't have a job anymore, or at least is going to be out of a job soon, Mr. Bill Smith, and his heir apparent, new chef Justin Burdett, coming out of Asheville of Crook's Corner. Anyone that wants to know what Bill Smith's doing, stay tuned to our podcast. We're going to get him on soon to talk about his amazing, illustrious career that is now coming to an end.
Yeah, early November.
What an amazing dinner with some of the best culinary talent that we have in the state and outside of the state coming together for an amazing woman that's doing that had such an impact in Southern cooking. So, but your schedule now, though, so you're on a book tour, which I know some people that have written books, and it's like crazy. They're just once the book tour starts, you're like a rock star. You're on the road.
Yeah, I told them, load me up. Just load me up. I do GMA Day once a week, and so I'm the food contributor there. So, but for my book tour that I'd already...
GMA, Good Morning America.
Good Morning America Day. At 1 o'clock with Michael Strahan and Sarah Haynes.
Nice.
So once a week I do a cooking segment with them. And then the rest is trying to figure out what next steps are in pitching shows and all of that and speaking around the country.
So are you going to stay have you kept your apartment in New York?
I have. I think it's easier. I do a lot of cooking in New York, and I was thinking I was going to give up the apartment, and then I was like, oh, wait. Can I cook in a hotel? No. Mm-mm. So I still need that apartment, and so it's a write-off. So I still have it.
So are you trying to sublet the apartment, Matt?
That's always good real estate. That's always a good idea in New York City.
Do you know how many people have asked me if they could? They're like, can we share that apartment?
Right. But how much? So because you split your time between New York and D.C. basically,
correct?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you had to pick your favorite meals,
there are places that I like to go, like the Red Hen. I get a half smoke in D.C. There's a pho place that we go. There's a vegetarian Indian spot that we do that's all you can eat buffet on Saturdays where we go. interestingly enough, and what people probably don't realize, I like simple food when I travel.
Yeah.
Because I can't process it. I can't digest it. And I know I'm going to get on a plane. I'm running around. And when people send you to a restaurant, they're talking about celebration foods.
Yeah.
And it's usually really fatty.
Yeah. You can't eat that every day.
You can't eat it every day.
Going back to what we said.
Yeah, about the chicken and the goat.
Right. So, you have simple salads here and there. It's not bow time all the time.
No. Right.
This episode sponsored by.
But before we get out of here, because you got a busy day and you're about to go do a book signing right now over at McIntyre's right here in Fearrington Village as well. We said right before we got on the mics that we saw you at the James Beard Awards.
Yes.
Hosting it and being super dynamic and just a ball of fun, which was so great. And we did comment about the fall that you had.
Yeah, the infamous fall. So I remember thinking. So let me tell you about the fall. Here's the setup about the fall. So I had a wardrobe change, and I was going to be putting on this white suit with these clear plastic boots. You can't just put.
I was wearing the same thing.
Right, I know. I saw you. You can't just put your foot without socks or stockings into a clear boot. So to make a quick change, I had stockings on, which are like Spanx for your feet. So my foot got smaller, which meant my shoe got bigger. So I was running in these shoes with the parade of the chefs. And all of a sudden I was like, uh-oh, I felt myself about to fall. And I remember having this thoughts. Uh-oh, I'm about to fall. Engage the core, make it big. Those are the three things that I thought.
You thought these things.
Yes, it's like a baseball player. When that baseball player sees that ball coming at him at 100 miles an hour and he knows the sweet spot and he can pinpoint it and he can hit that ball out of the park, even though it's moving at him.
Like Bellinger in the 13th inning.
Yes.
Recently. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I can't even believe I did a sports reference because that is not my life.
Timely. Go Dodgers. Yeah.
So I did that, and I went down, and I windmilled my legs, and I got up. I'm like, oh, my God, this is going to be a great show. And I felt that the audience was uncomfortable, so I ran downstage, and I said, you all know that shit was funny?
It was great. You owned it.
I almost thought it was a stunt.
I thought it was planned. Yeah, we both said, like, did she do that on purpose?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of
and your recovery was so great that, it almost seemed like it was a gimmick or a stunt. But no, you just ate it, but owned it.
Right, exactly.
Mm-hmm. And that's your next book, by the way.
Yeah, eat it and own it.
Yeah.
But I tell people, you're going to fall. You're going to mess up. But if you own it, it's like, what do you do after the fall? Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you could have looked really horrified, lost your composure, had a very uncomfortable 4 minutes, and then our next award
right, exactly.
goes to, and it would have brought it to a halt. But instead, it was just great, and you got a big response. And again, going back to the Why America Loves You, is that you're just a real person, and that comes through all the time.
Totally authentic.
Yeah.
And meeting you validates it all. So thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Where can people and your fans get your book?
So my book is on Amazon. You can go to Amazon. It'll be at all the local bookstores and Barnes & Noble and everything. And
so the book is out now.
The book is out now. You can get it where books are sold.
Wherever you get books. Yeah. People always say, how do you download your podcast? I'm like, you knock on trees. No, how would you think to get the podcast? Where podcasts live.
But you know what else I did with this book that many people haven't done? I've done an audiobook, and I got to read it.
Oh, that's great. Mm-hmm. To do kind of what you said before with the visually impaired, and you were talking about, I had this conversation recently with thinking, is it lame to speak about recipes on a podcast or have a podcast that literally goes through the process of making something? I'm like, because there are YouTube videos about that. But what if you don't want to sit there, you need your eyes to cook, but you just had someone in your ear going like, hey, buddy, give a little more stir, a little bit more. Yes. Don't stop. Here we go. And almost in real time, if you were like cooking with the person at the exact moment, then you're like literally cooking with Carla as it's happening. I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I think with Alexa and with Google Home app and all these different apps, you can do it. And you can pause, you can say play, you like go back, come on. And I did this with my voice, which was kind of weird. I'm like, hey, Carla. Now I'm really talking to myself, right?
That's great.
It's fun.
Well, thank you so much, Matt,
as we said, it's been a pleasure meeting you and getting to know you. Can't wait for the book. And good luck tomorrow night with the dinner. I'm sure it's going to be delicious. So go out and get this wonderful book, Soul Food, Every Day and Celebration. You will read it and then cook and eat and drink very merrily.
Thanks for listening to the NCF&B podcast. And if you've stuck with us this long, review us on iTunes and remember, 5 stars are encouraged.